Good morning. It's Wednesday and I've been awake most of the night. But it does look like it's going to be a lovely day, and after I've done this, I'm going to try to go back to bed and sleep. But before I chit chat, here's where I got to yesterday with this drawing for respect. I decided on the kinds of motifs I'd like to use here. Whether I stick to that this morning, I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. And I'd put in here some of these rather large leaves yesterday, and I know that I want to add some details to them before I do anything else, so I'll make a start with that. Yeah, I've been awake for a lot of the night. I've had a really upset stomach, nausea, just feeling hot and sweaty. So I think I've eaten something that has upset me. I don't think it's anything else because I'm feeling a bit tender in the digestive system and just not too wonderful. But it's okay. Things like this do pass, and it seems that my stomach has set down. I'm just left feeling very, very tired, and said my abdomen is feeling just a bit on the tender side. I've got some mocha here this morning. I haven't had a mocha for a few days, but I know that it's something that feels very soothing. Warm milk, I would also do it, but the thought of warm milk turns my stomach, so I'm still not quite right, but I'll be okay. And of course, I've already got up, and it's organic food delivery today, so I've already been out and got that in because I was awake and heard him arrive. So as soon as I got myself dressed and so on, I went down and got the food in and packed away, which is lovely. So some nice goodies in my fridge. I say goodies. I had yogurt, some lovely organic Greek yogurt, onions, potatoes, mushrooms, bananas. What else did I have? Garlic, fresh garlic, and organic butter and cheese. I like cheese monster. And oh yeah, e-cover washing up liquid, because I can't find the Method one I like anywhere now. So hey ho, it'll do. It works. It does its job, and that's all that matters really. That looks a bit more interesting. The other work, because they were so big, those areas, they didn't look interesting. They looked like there was just far too much space in them, so I'm just going to make them a little more interesting on the other side by adding some extra lines like this. So go. So yesterday was an okay day. I was busy most of the day with one thing or another. Got the videos done and uploaded quite quickly. It's really good internet connection in the morning, and then by evening it's all gone to pot again. Well, unstable when I was on a Zoom call, and yeah, does it. So hopefully it'll behave itself today. But and then I spent, after I'd got everything done in terms of social media, it was shower, dress, and I went out for a walk, and that was lovely. Brisk weather, cloudy with bits of sun creeping through. And then by the time I got back to my car, it started to rain. Just pick. And when I got home, got through the door, and it started raining a bit more heavily. And so, I sorted out something to eat, and then I did some stuff. I started working on drawing for the book I've got to do soon. I've got to get finished in just over a month's time. And I got a load of ideas for pages written down on a piece of paper that I can see that I need to transfer to somewhere I can find it again. So that was good because I didn't think I had the inspiration. I can lack confidence in myself over things. And yet this one really, because I'm not giving the game away as to what it is, should really be a fairly interesting or easy book for me to do, because the focal point is something that I very much love, the theme of the book. But perhaps that's why I'm dragging my feet about doing it, because I want to do a really good job of it, and the imposter part of me, the part of me that doubts myself, is worried that I won't. Daft, I know. That's what I've got an editorial team for, because they provide good feedback. Whereas I sometimes think, oh, I really like this one. They go, yeah, it's lovely, but for the colourists. I go, right, fine, I can see what you mean now. And often it's the same kind of comments, and I'm there going, I never seem to learn on this. But that's what editors are there for, I suppose. So hopefully after I've had a bit of a nap, I say a nap, hopefully I'll be able to get back to sleep in a little while. And I'll feel better later on to get along with that. And have a walk, because it looks like it's going to be a lovely dry day. It's chilly this morning. There's mist, a bit of mist beginning to flow down a valley. There's a hill and a little valley going up away from the town here. Not a big valley like the main one, but it's beginning to flow down there, and I often liken it to dragon's breath. And it's really rather lovely. We get it in spring and autumn particularly, and sometimes in the winter. But it shows how cool it's been overnight. And it really is cool here. In fact, it's rather delicious to feel the coldness. And even though I had the windows open last night, I just could not get comfortable in terms of temperature, because whatever was upsetting my stomach was also giving me a bit of a sweaty time, I think. But there we are. We all get these things from time to time. Goodness knows what's caused it. But all will be well. So that's okay. Of course, I have a tendency to get upset stomachs from time to time for no apparent reason other than I've got an upset stomach. So, yeah. So that's fine. That looks nice. I like the contrast of the more densely patterned interiors of these particular kinds of motifs here. But it's nice to have that kind of contrast, I do have to say. And I really enjoyed those leaf shapes around here, these oval ones, these kinds of ones. So let's see what I can do with these that will make them a little bit different to the other ones because it's the same shape, really. It's just that instead of having a line and a circle there, I'm going with more of a spoon shape with a circle in. Because obviously these are sort of vaguely spoon shaped. The other thing is I'm not joining the bottoms, I'm leaving that wider stem there. But it's the same kind of thing, it's very similar shape and motif, so quite nice to add some of these in, I think. So yeah, and strange dreams when I did sleep last night. Really, really bizarre. So I did manage to nod off every now and again, and then I'd wake up feeling icky again, either sicky or over hot. But I'm feeling, as I say, I feel better now. I'm just tired, though, even though I can't sleep because I've been up and I've been busy. So if I get this done, even if I don't edit the video before I go back to bed, at least it's done. Yesterday I decided to upload both the full-length version with me chatting and create something like a time-lapse where I sped the footage up and put music behind instead of speech, because I thought that would, perhaps interest other people. So it went from being about 50 minutes long to about 15. Because I know that an hour video can be a bit intimidating and daunting, and so I thought I'll have a look and try this because it doesn't take much more time for me to do that. I've got those skills now. I'm comfortable with it, and it's almost automatic. So I really don't. I think that it will, I guess views and comments will let me know which people prefer. And it may be an even split between the two. I do not know. But let's see. So I've pretty much got my day planned out when I get myself fully alert in some ways. I say planned out. I really am enjoying the walks. I can be a terrible procrastinator about such things as well. My biggest problem is breaking out of the habit of only going to the same places, of going somewhere different. I'm finding that really, really difficult to do. I think it's because during the past year or so, my social anxiety has increased again. It's never going to go away. I'm a weird kind of person. I'm an introvert, but I can appear quite extroverted, especially if I'm nervous. But I find being in crowds is always very draining. Noise and everything overwhelms me. And of course, the more I go to, in the past, the more I've gone to places and I've dealt with this, the better I've got, as well as understanding my limitations and setting down barriers that allow me to feel safe and things I can do to help me. So noise cancelling earphones, so that sudden loud noises don't startle me, and don't startle me into a hypervigilance sort of like response where my eyesight becomes very strange. I'm trying to see everything at once, and surprisingly my sense of balance goes as a result. And that's only something I worked out I realised a few months ago when I was reading an article about such things, I thought, oh, that's why I get, clumsy when I'm in that kind of mood. Um, so it's going to take me a while to get over the increased social anxiety, or anxiety being around people, anxiety being outdoors. I'm going to new places. One thing that always helped in the past is, and this is where it gets weird, if I'm with somebody I know and trust, I can be the bravest person in the world. Well, within limits. You aren't going to get me climbing mountains or doing stupidly crazy, dangerous theme park rides or things like that. It's not me. That my dislike of those will never change. But I can be really incredibly brave in places I don't know, and going into cafes or restaurants or whatever, shops and things that I don't know. It's an unfamiliar place. And that always strikes me as being one of these weird things, whether it's an unconscious bravado, not wanting people to know how timid I am, I don't know, or whether it's just having that confidence of somebody I know with me so I won't get lost, or that I do feel overwhelmed because they know me. Hopefully they'll understand if I say I need some quiet time, perhaps. But I can also be quite chatty when I'm comfortable around people, when people start to become familiar to me. But it's highly unlikely I'm going to engage conversation. So if you met me, generally, I do find it hard to start conversations. If somebody else says hello to me, I'll speak often. I've learned over the years, I suppose, to mask my inability to do small talk. I'm not very good at small talk. I can do it. It's not something I enjoy, and it tends to peter off very quickly. But again, it was something I learned really as a child. I mean, I spent most of my childhood and teenage years not really speaking very much to people. When I was in school, I'd often be by myself. I did have people I would count as friends, but there was one person who was always a good friend, and but because he was a he and I was a she, it became very difficult to amongst teenagers to be friends, I suppose, or to spend time together, because the bullying that would go on as a result. Not believe in the rumours that were started, because I suppose people just can't believe that boys and girls can. Yeah, I got another smudge. Boys and girls can just be friends. Times have changed to a degree, I suppose, but it wasn't very nice for either of us, I suppose. But yeah. But I do remember being a lot of the time very quiet until I found people that I got on with, the sixth form, perhaps, to a degree again. But I've never been very good at socialising, social skills. If I went to a party or anything, then I would be the one who would be hiding away in the kitchen and not sure how to behave, what to say, what to do. And I'm still pretty much the same now. If there's somebody there I know, I can be a bit clingy to them because I feel a sense of safety and security, but at the same time I also know I'm being clingy, and so I try not to. And sort of like logically, I know I should be okay, but I'm not really in those kinds of circumstances. And I recognise this in myself. And the world is full of people who are anywhere on the introvert extrovert spectrum. And there's even a classification called ambiverts where, you know, you're a bit of both. I think I'm mostly introverted, but there's an extrovert part that comes out when I'm with people I know. And of course, when I'm nervous, that's when I can talk non-stop. The odd thing is, I'm quite comfortable doing public speaking. And I've got no idea why that is. I think it's simply because if I'm speaking in public often, if I know what I'm going to be saying, I can get nervous. Because, you know, I still get nervous because I don't know who these people are. But the process is a familiar one, and I'm wearing what I would call a hat. So I have my public speaking hat on, as so to speak, where I know what I've got to do. I know what I'm going to say. I may not know the people there, but I get on and do it. And at the end, I'm happy to answer questions about what I do, but there's no need for small talk or chit chat or anything. It's very focused on something that, for want of a better word, I feel comfortable talking about. And I say want for a better word because my most recent bouts of public speaking, in a way, have been as a champion for Time to Change Wales. Not in the past, well, year and a half, due to pandemic and stuff, but I go and tell my story, my experience of mental illness, and stigma and discrimination, and what it feels like. So with PTSD, complex PTSD, there's anxiety and depression and other things as well that people may not be aware of. And a lot of that is the root cause of all of this. You know, when I left EMDR therapy, when I decided I was good enough, it was literally just a couple of weeks before the pandemic really hit, and I can remember us having a conversation about it and how both of us wondered what was going to happen. We knew what was going on in Italy and in China. News had come out, and myself and my therapist were, you know, we weren't sure what was going to happen because everything was being so downplayed. And I was planning all kinds of things. And now those things are put on hold, and put on hold for a while now. And I've got work to do before I can travel by myself and feel safe, even going more than just a couple of miles away from home. Which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's okay. I've got my own little worlds I can travel into, and there are other ways of travelling. I quite enjoy watching people who live aboard narrowboats and travelling around the canal network system. And so it's a sense of travelling by travelling vicariously, I suppose, and seeing these kinds of things. And I do find it really interesting. I've sometimes thought about, oh, I wonder if I could live on a narrowboat. Oh, that'd be nice. But the reality is, no, it wouldn't. Not if I was living on my own. And even if it looks idyllic, but it's a lot of hard work when you know, cruising along, and creature comforts, although the boats may have a washing machine and toilet, shower and everything. there's all the things that we take for granted in a house to deal with, like waste from the toilet and water, and having to fill up on water and plan journeys around where to stop for such things. Laundry, you might have a washing machine on board. A lot of people don't. Heating the boat, there's lots of ways of doing that. So, but you know, if you've got a solid fuel stove, there's a lot of cleaning up to do there, and even simple things like mains power to run things. You know, it's you have solar panels and batteries and so on, but it may not be easy to have everything that you're used to powering being powered. Wi-Fi, phone signal when you're out in the middle of nowhere. Even things like you know, like satellite television and so on, if that's your thing. It may not be that easy to set up. So, you know, it's amazing what can be fitted into an arrowboat. You know, and even, you know, the tiny little ones. There's ones that are about 20 foot long, 30 foot long. And it's amazing what use can be made of space. But I just think, well, yeah, but it would make, like, you know, even doing everyday things that I find difficult still now, that much more difficult for me. And then there would be living on a narrowboat, and I'm a very nervous person with voices of people and people walking by the house, and I just think it's a lovely thought, but this is not me. This is not something that I would be able to do. But a friend of mine, not so much going to live on it, but has bought into a syndicate of people, the new narrowboat being built, so they have time in the year on this narrowboat. And I suspect they may be looking into something that can be done perhaps when they retire for a while, of actually having their own chance for them to see whether it's something they want to do. Because though it may look lovely, when you think about all the things, like, you know, you wouldn't have access to a car. Or you might do, it depends how you live on the narrowboats, because I'm thinking, I could live on it, you know, if it was static and I only moved it a little bit every now and again if I had a lot of help. But the reality is, I don't think it would be for me. There. So I shall continue to watch them and enjoy the journeys they have, and seeing the country from a different perspective, a different point of view. And accept that it's a little, you know, it might be a dream, but it's not a dream that I want to make come true, put it that way. So I think I like my creature comforts way too much. I don't think that, I know that. So I will get my, you know, do the travelling and so on. I think it's me being absolutely sure that both I feel ready to do that in terms of the anxiety I have. When I'm at home, there is no anxiety. When I'm going somewhere familiar, there's little anxiety, though it can be provoked by sudden loud noises or other people doing things that perhaps are normal to them, but cause a reaction in me, a trigger. And little by little, it's picking up that oomph to stretch myself that little bit. So bit by bit, work in progress. And I'd rather be safe than sorry, as the old phrase goes. I really would. Just put that one in there. That'd be nice. There we go. So, getting close to getting this finished now. And I'm going to pop some of these around just to fill in some of these spaces and gaps here, and also it ties it in with where I've used them elsewhere. I think that's my theory about those. Just having a look to see what else I'd like to incorporate here over this side. Looking to see what other patterns and motifs I've used. Okay, I think, look, I'm going to get some kitchen towels so I can just blot this. It's the ink's taking a little while to dry. It does on Bristol paper, because it's so smooth. I really don't want to smudge that, so take the excess off. What was I going to put here? I was going to do something. Oh, I know. Just do a couple of these. Which will bring them over to a second part of the design. It's that sense of coherence, or trying to keep the motifs to a small number that repeats throughout. Even though I've changed these down here to that, it's still the same kind of shape. That's a big chunky leafy thing. Is it a leaf or is it a seed pod? I do not know. These could be seeds, they could just be markings on leaves, they could be just random things. There we go, so that adds a couple more of those there. Pop that there. Yeah. Learning my lesson here, perhaps. Still a bit wet, but it'll be fine. Yeah, I want to add some of these more frilly shapes. So totally random waffle this morning. That's some very random shaping going on here, but that's fine as well. It's probably essentially the same kind of thing. Same kind of thing, same kind of motif. After all, in nature, nothing is identical. It may look so on the surface, but when you compare one flower to another, similar as they are, there's still differences. The same with seeds and such things. I guess if I wanted them all exactly the same, I could draw and replicate them digitally, but I'm human. And I like drawing digitally, but I admire people who can do vector graphics, and really simplify things right down. But part of me thinks, oh, I'd love to be able to do that or learn how to do that, and part of me thinks, yes, but Angela, you know, Angela, you'd still want to do things like this, wouldn't you? And the answer is most probably, yeah, most probably. I have been. I did get yet another classroom domestica this week, and it's about botanical sketchbook with pen and ink and watercolour then. And the idea is that you use pen to draw straight away, don't do any pencil outlines. There's information there about mixing colours, mixing greens and so on, and to use in them, colouring with watercolour. And as I've said so often, watercolour just vexes me completely. I try so often to use it and I feel I fail. I think it's because I'm so used to using such bright colours digitally, and with things like markers and pencils and other media I've used to add colour over the years, that although you can get really bright and vibrant colours with watercolour, it's not always it's just not been easy. And mixing colours is always a bit of a disaster. So, amongst other things, I thought it'd be nice, and also having a sketchbook to take with me. I showed you the sketchbook I'd put together yesterday with disc binding things, disc binding rings and a hard cover. And I've been able to put the paper in there I'd like to have in there, which doesn't preclude me from putting some watercolour paper in, because I have sheets of watercolour paper here, and if I find it's something I'd like to do, then I can always do that and get more. It's not a problem. And the lovely thing is, because I can choose the size of the pieces of paper as well, so but it's also about other people's ways of working and how they inspire, and you learn things and you incorporate it into your own practice. Because art is a practice. Every time I draw, it's learning something new. Like, I wish I'd thought about this before I made all of these smudges. But hey ho, I do. I remember this from time to time. I think, oh, yeah, genius, Angela, genius. Okay, I've got to decide what I put round here. I'm thinking because I don't want to necessarily add a new kind of motif in here. This one I'll do some of, just while I think. I've gone quiet. No, it happens. So yeah, to go back to this, so I'm looking forward with this one, like I have been with the others, of learning things. And sometimes I learn that something isn't for me. As much as I might like to do it, it just doesn't seem to compute in my head. And no matter how much I practice and try something, it just does not work out for me personally. Other people, yes, fab, brilliant, go for it. And my blessings, if you need them, which I doubt you would do. But And even that's a valuable lesson, because it's that uncertainty I have about myself, about what I do, believing in myself, the imposter syndrome I suffer from. It does help me in some ways to recognise things about myself and to push myself that little bit further, because I can get stuck in a comfort zone. I hate that term, by the way. I really hate it because it's so overused. But I wouldn't say a rut, but it's where I feel comfortable and at ease. And of course, I've got a distinctive style, apparently, particularly as far as colouring books are concerned, it seems. You know, apparently you can spot an Angela Porter one amongst all the others quite easily. I suppose the same way as you would any other colouring book artist who is well known, like Joanna Basford or Millie Marotta, or what's her name? Name doesn't come to mind, but people have their own particular styles. And there we go. And I'm just going to put another one of these here instead of a dot in there. Put that. So there we are, it's respect. All done. And I've used not many of these motifs, have I? Used that one, I've used that one, used that one. I've used a modified version of that one, and I've used that one. Though I have made use of that, but I've altered it as well. Actually, yeah, so not many, but I gave myself choices and options because, well, that's what I do. And I've ended up with this. Now my next job with this, obviously, is I'm going to be scanning it in, and I can clean it up, and then it can sit somewhere. I'm going to have to set a folder up of work to do, jobs to do. I think I've actually got one. And eventually I'll come round to add colour to that. I've still got the willingness one to do. I think I've got a couple of others, haven't I? Like Passion, and I can't remember what the other one was. So they still need colour adding, but I'll get to those. That's if I scan them in. If I do scan them in and I've coloured them or added colour, I haven't scanned them in, then I'll may have to redraw or whatever, but may do that anyway. I'm wittering. I'm blathering on here. I'm beginning to lose my will to be able to stay awake. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed the journey I've taken on yet another one of these drawings, and perhaps some insight into how my squirrely little brain works, not just with my random witterings, but with any observations I make and the way I try to speak out the very fast thought process that goes on, make decisions without knowing what the decisions are. I call it intuitive art, and in some ways it is following my intuition, because there's no real firm conscious thought as to what I'm doing. But it'd be nice if I give you an insight or inspire you in some way. I think if I've made an interesting video that I've inspired people have found new ideas, new ways to do things, or different ways of thinking, whether it's about art or about other things, then I'm doing a pretty good job. So I am now going to say, once again, thank you. If you have enjoyed the video, please click the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel, it would mean a lot. And leave a comment, you know, because I try to get back to every comment quite quickly, and even if it's only to leave you a heart, because I moved too much to leave words, perhaps, but I do appreciate it. So take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of whatever day you happen to be watching this, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.